never saw your face. Please, what do I have to do to make you go? Oh, baby, it's you. It's you.
All right, everyone, welcome to yet another TRM. Glad to see everyone here. Hello, hello, hello. Great to see you here, Royal Bloodline. Great to see you here, Yemi. Great to have you guys here. All right, everyone. Welcome to another show. I am your man, CJ. And we are here to have another wonderful discussion here today. I'm excited about this one. I am truly excited about what we're about to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Nollywood. One of Nigeria's greatest pride, Nollywood. And for one, I am more excited about Nollywood and the future of Nollywood than any other thing Nigeria's got going on. I mean, I love Afrobeat, don't get me wrong. Afrobeat is our great pride, and we love it. However, what I'm about to share with you guys today will help you understand why Nollywood, for me, is probably going to be the best thing that will be more long-lasting than Afrobeat will. Afrobeat is going to last for 50 plus years, but Nollywood will surpass that. And Nollywood, from what I'm going to share with you guys, is going to help Nigeria much more than Afrobeats. And I am very excited about it because while Afrobeat is making its round global and has become a global brand, one of my concerns about Afrobeat is that Afrobeat isn't doing a lot in terms of keeping money in Nigeria. So a lot of the money is spent outside of Nigeria as it relates to Afrobeat's global export all over the world. Nollywood, on the other hand, is the total opposite, which is why I'm excited, and I think every Nigerian out there needs to be excited about this. What I'm about to talk about today is the building of what's called the Nollywood Studio City in Nigeria, the first of its kind in Africa, the largest of its kind. And it is a big deal. It is a big deal. This is a 3-year project. A 3-year project that started, that was thought of as a dream or as a vision, but now is made possible by the current Lagos State administration. And I have to say kudos to the Lagos State governor and his team, because this is what you call a foresight vision in terms of where we want Africa to be moving into. You know, for a long time, most people would say that Africa has been solely dependent on oil, export of oil for its revenue. But now we're seeing the likes of Nigeria and the country of Nigeria, diverting its investment and looking at other ways to really draw revenue into the country. Of course, the media entertainment industry is one. Afrobeat has been a great success for the country. And now to see such investment and such undertaking as huge as the film city, Nollywood Film City in Lagos State. In Lagos City. That is amazing. And so let me get right into this thing, because there's a lot I want to cover in this video. And please make sure you're hitting the like button as you're coming in, because we're going to be talking about really good conversation here. And more importantly, I'm going to be telling you why this is not being covered by mainstream media. You don't see anyone talking about this. I am pretty much the only one. And I looked. The only one talking about this. And it's not surprising, because we have to tell our own story. We don't need Western media to tell our story for us. You know, one of my issues with Western media is they don't want to leave us alone. You know, they're always in our business, and the only business they like to talk about as relates to us, is always the negative part that they like to talk about. But when it comes to the good part, they're like, oh no, we're not going to cover that. So I'm going to talk to you guys about why this is not being talked about in the Western media. But let's talk about this first of all. As I mentioned, this was 3 years in the making. But on the 18th of this month, October 18th, this became a reality. $100 million investment is being put forth to making this a reality. So let me read from, according to the Premium Times, what they talk about with this in terms of Nollywood, the film city in Epe. So here's what it says. It said on Wednesday, the governor of Lagos State, Jide Sanwo-Olu, performed groundbreaking ceremony on the $100 million Lagos Film City in a 100-acre land area in Ikosi-Ejinrin area of Epe Local Government. Now, Jibrin Jawat, senior special assistant to the new media to Lagos State governor, announced this on Twitter, which is X. Mr. Gawat said the public-private partnership model Lagos Film City will create numerous job opportunities, stimulate economy growth, and attract investment. So when they talk about the economy growth and attract investment, we're talking about tourism here. So I'll get to that. It will also be a hub for film production, visual effects, scripting, cinematography, editing, photography, and all of the ancillary services that support the filmmaking process. Now, this project is a collaboration between the Lagos State governor and various notable players in the entertainment sectors like the Ebony Life Academy, the Del York, and the Jide Studio. It goes on to say the project will sit on 100-acre of land, which is located in Epe, in Lagos, accommodate numerous state-of-the-art studios to support television, radio, and film, ranging from pre-production, production, and post-production distribution, and more. So that was just as of October. Now, why are they doing this? Why are they investing $100 million to create a one-of-its-kind film city in Lagos, Nigeria? Why? Are they expanding, which is a bright and brilliant idea, I would have to tell you, by the Nigerian government to expand Nigeria's second largest movie industry in the world, which is Nollywood. Why are they doing this? Okay, let me tell you why they're doing this. Okay. Now, according to the United States U.S. International Trade Administration, I want you to see here, I want to read what they said and what they've written about the growth of Nigeria's entertainment industry, which includes Nollywood as well as an Afrobeat. I want you to see what the U.S. International Trade Administration says. This is where everyone who wants to invest outside of the United States, this is where they go to find out what the prospects are in terms of viable markets outside of the shores of the United States. So investors, angel investors, private investors, this is where they go to, because the United States Trade Administration gathers information regarding markets, viable markets outside of the United States. And here's what they say about your media industry. It says the Nigerian media entertainment industry, Nollywood, originated in 1992. It is currently the second most prolific film industry in the world, with an annual output of around 2,500 movies. It is a globally recognized brand in film, including script writing, directing, sound acting, cinematography, makeup, and editing. The industry is located throughout several major production centers like Lagos, Onitsha, Enugu, Asaba, and Abuja. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, Global Entertainment and Media Outlooks for 2022 all the way to 2026, Nigeria's media and entertainment industry is one of the largest and fast-growing industries in the world. It has the potential to become one of the country's exports with a projected annual consumer growth of 8.8%. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers indicated in 2021, Nigeria's film industry contributed to 2.3%, which is roughly $660 million and approximately 239 billion naira to the GDP growth. They project that the industry will increase its export revenue to over $1 billion. The motion picture and music combined contributed about $1.8 billion, which is 730 billion naira to the country's GDP in 2020. Now, the country's TV and video market grew 7.49% to $806 million in 2020, up from $732 million in 2018. Now, the industry is projected to earn about $900 million in 2023. So by the end of 2023, we'll know if they surpass or even hit that. We'll know this by next year when they calculate the revenue and all of that. We'll get the results by next year. And I'll give you guys the update from that. The market is driven by subscription revenue, which accounted for 72.26% of total TV video sector revenue in 2018. TV ads account for 21.31% of total revenue, with physical home videos accounting for 5.33%. Subscription-based movie streamings are very popular in Nigeria, attracting players like Netflix, Iroko TV, and StarTime. Now, although Netflix subscription has long been available in Nigeria, they made their official debut in Nigeria in February 2020, joining several major distributors of film content in Nigeria. In August 2022, Amazon Prime Video announced the launch of the localized version of its streaming service in Nigeria. Now, according to the IMF report, the industry is projected to generate an estimated revenue of $10.8 billion by 2023 and account for 1.4% of the GDP. The report indicates that in 2020, Nigeria overtook South Africa in pay TV subscription as a country currently has over 6.9 million pay TV households as of 2021. It is projected to grow to upwards of 7.4 million by 2023. Now, a new study by Research and Market showed that Nigeria will contribute about 10 million or 21.2% of Africa's pay TV subscribers by 2025. So Nigeria alone, that country alone, will contribute 10 million, which is equivalent to 21.2% subscribers in Africa. Now, here's what they say about Afrobeat also. So it says the music sector of Nigeria entertainment industry also recorded significant growth over the years. Stakeholders include artists, musicians, producers, promoters, managers, distributors, and marketers. As of 2021, the music industry employed about 1 million people and generated over $8 billion for the economy. In the past 6 years, the growing numbers of new production studios and artists enabled a more vibrant and self-sustaining industry, producing globally recognized music. In this environment, Nigerian musicians have developed a vast spectrum of music genres. The industry has also won prestigious awards with artists like Wizkid and Burna Boy claiming Grammy Awards, attracting more and more investors from several sources. Spotify, the global leader in music streaming, is also moving into the Nigerian market as part of a broader global expansion. Okay. All right. So that's why they're doing it. Now, if you wanted to know why the Lagos state governor or the Lagos city governor is expanding or contributing $100 million to a project such as this, that's why they're doing it. Now, here, let me tell you what is exciting about this. This is going to be a game changer for the country in many fronts. Here is one of the reasons why I say this. And I want to compare Nollywood to Afrobeat for a second. See, Afrobeat has been the talk and has been the pride of Nigerians. And everyone loves what Nigerians have been able to accomplish with Afrobeat. Nigerians have really exported this internationally. And it's gone all over the world. See, many are able to tap into the Nigerian culture because of Afrobeats. Many know names like Burna Boy, Wizkid, Asake, Thames, Tiwa Savage, Techno, many like that, just to name a few. So the world has been introduced to Nigeria in a different light. So Nigerians are experiencing and enjoying a different set of brand recognition because of Afrobeat. Now, here's the problem with Afrobeat. And here's my issue with Afrobeat. While Afrobeat is great, Afrobeat isn't really putting a lot of its resources. A lot of the money is made off of Afrobeat are really actually spent and generated outside of Nigeria, which helps to build the West and the likes of the United States and England. Here's what I mean by that. Most of the revenue that come from generating a country's wealth come from taxes. So that's how governments are able to build infrastructures, That's how government are able to put new amenities in their country, is based on money generated from the private sector by way of taxes, right? So if you want to know how rich a country is, just look at the number of jobs they're created, which is why this country in the United States, one of the key mandates for any president is job creations. You will see them brag about this. You know, we created this many jobs this quarter. We created this many jobs this last year. This is a bragging thing, because the more jobs they create, the more revenue they get by way of taxes, which then fills or enlarges the treasury and can help the country invest in other things and really help to build the community or build the country. That's how you make money. So in other words, you want to keep the money in your country. You want to ensure that people are working. You get the wheels going. That's how you make money. Now, with Afrobeat, when you find these artists who are, you know, a lot of their money spent is spent outside of Nigeria, it really burdens or really denies the country the full extent of the success of what they are doing. For example, when you find the likes of Burna Boy, Davido, Wizkid, who are signed to international labels, right? Or they're doing concert internationally, which is all good, right? However, we're talking about the movement of money here. We're talking about how money exchange, and that's the problem with black people. Black people never understand how money works and how money exchange. You know, the brilliant economists will tell you, you want to keep money circulating in your community. You want to have that money circulating in your community before it exchanges or leaves your community. If your money isn't circulating long enough in your community and it's really exported out, you're not going to build your community. And so what we're seeing with Afrobeat is that a lot of the money isn't really spending a lot of time in Nigeria before it's exported out. And now you're finding the Western media knowing fully well how money works, because they've been at this for years. They know how this whole thing works. So in order to really take away from these artists really using their resources and the money they make from the production of Afrobeat and building Nigeria up, they sign them to their labels. This is one of the key things. This is why I'm not really impressed. I'm not happy with the artists that sign to international labels. Because what happens when you sign to international labels is that it causes you to lose a lot of that money that would have been left in your country. How is that possible? How do they do this? Most labels, and from contracts that I've seen with labels with artists, most of those contracts have clause like first right of refusal clause. So, for example, when Burna Boy signed with Sony Records, or when these guys signed with, you know, Atlantic Records or one of these, those contracts have those clause, which essentially means that Burna Boy, whatever he produces, they own 60% of his distribution right and they have the first right of refusal for whatever he puts out there. So if Burna Boy does a large music today, they get a huge piece of that, which goes to the country that he's signed to here, which in this case is the United States. So a lot of his money that he's making money for this country. Which is why, for the life of me, I don't know why they did it. I don't know why the artists, the Afrobeat artists signed with this international. I get the appeal. I get that, you know, they want to be exposed to a larger audience. I get that. However, these artists were large without the signing of these artists, without the signing of these labels. These labels learned of these artists based on their global presence all over the world. And so, because of what we know about the West and how they take things that they haven't built, how they've, you know, infiltrated cultures and hijacked other people's work that they didn't even put their money or their time in. Because of that practices that we know, we're seeing a lot of the Afrobeat artists give a lot of the revenue which should stay in the country of origin to countries like the United States by ways of these contracts that they sign. Because when they take this stuff on the road, when Burna Boy does concert in London, that money isn't going to Nigeria. That money is generated in London because of the crowd that comes over there. You know, the crowd that he pulls into that arena, that money is generated there. So there's nothing wrong with doing a tour show. There's nothing wrong with that. Artists have to be on the road. Artists have to do this. But what we're seeing with a lot of the Afrobeat artists is that they spend a lot of the concerts are done internationally, more so than the country. And so when you do that, you take a lot of the resources out. And when you sign to labels outside of your country, you certainly take a lot of your monies out of your country. Essentially build other countries' wealth. And that's not the way to do it. Now, I don't know what Burna Boy's terms of contract is. I don't know what Davido's terms of contract is. But I know from what I understand from contracts, because I've seen quite a few of these, is that the clause of the first right of refusal is almost in all the contracts. So even if Wizkid's record label in Nigeria produces something, the clause, if that is in if they didn't refute that clause, basically says that we own the rights to whatever you produce, even in your own label. We own that because you're signed to our brand. Okay, so we own that because they are in turn interpreting it as if we have signed you, we've invested in you, whatever that investment is. And so they own you as a brand. And so Afrobeat isn't keeping a lot of the monies in the country. Some part of it is there, but it's not keeping most of the money in the country. Most of the monies are really, really spent outside of the country. You know? And another example is when, Burna Boy did the dumbest thing I think anyone could do when he bought that $1 million chain. Something so dumb like that. He spent a $1 million on a chain, on a gold chain. Okay, so you have the money, great, you can do whatever you want. But look at where he bought the chain. See, here's what I'm talking about, that type of movement of money. He bought it, I think it was in California. That is money going back to California. That is taxes because the sales tax off of the sales of that chain goes back to that country. Now, why didn't he just buy it in Nigeria? They don't have gold chains over there? Or why couldn't he just have the person come to Nigeria and make it since he has that kind of money? I don't get it. See, this is the part as we black people, we're going to have to start thinking in terms of really helping to build our communities up. You will never have a time such as this, Nigeria. You will never have a time such as this where the universe has handed you an opportunity for you to change your global trajectory. You will never have another opportunity like this. This is the once in a lifetime opportunity where you are the talent, the gift coming out of one country is unmatched, has become a global thing. There's no other people on the planet, in terms of black people I'm talking about right now. There are none on the planet who are making such waves like Nigerians are doing right now. There's none. You become a sought after black group. You'll become a sought after. Everyone wants to partner with Nigerians. Everyone knows about Nigerians. Everyone. There's no one on the planet today that hasn't heard of a Nigerian or know about the greatness of Nigeria. None. In virtually every sector of the industry. And I think that as black people, we need to start thinking in terms of how money works and how we harness this opportunity to building not just our name brand, but building the country. Right? This should be your industrial revolution. You understand this? And in the United States, the industrial revolution were stages in the United States that really helped to move and pull the country from one stage. We had the first industrial revolution, we had the second industrial revolution, and the third industrial revolution. And each stages of those revolution, there were catalysts that moved the country forward. Now the industrial revolution that we're in is the age of robotics. Technology has really been that catalyst. But in the first industrial revolution, there wasn't technology involved in it. It was just basically skilled labor. Was basically the skilled labor of Americans. That awakening that was in them, that got them really grinding things out, that helped them produce that really helped to increase production, which then improved the monies in this country in which they were able to invest in technology that then revolutionized that first industrial to the second industrial revolution. And then we know that technology is what really helps to build people out of poverty. But it first starts with talent. It first starts with work ethics. It first starts with your ability to take what you've been given, harness it, and generate wealth to which you can then push that into technology, then help to revamp your whole country. That's how that works. So now that Nigeria has been able to produce a lot of talent in music, and now we're seeing it in Nollywood, in films, what we should be spending most of our time doing is how do we keep that money in the country? Do you understand what I'm saying? How do we keep the money in the country and not give it to another country? Because right now, the United States is at least earning 60% of the revenue for most of what's generated from Afrobeat. Let's break it down, and I'll get to Nollywood for a second. Back in the days, one of the key value for any artist or for any label is a distribution right. Back in the days, this is back when we had CDs and tapes. So the labels controlled distribution. You know, when you went to a store and you found a CD, you had giants like Virgin Records. Back then, that was their value to every artist. Will help you mass produce your records all over the place, so that way you can sell albums here. So that era is gone. Now we have streaming. Streaming is a distribution hub now. Most artists are able to really kind of self-promote themselves. However, a lot of the labels have a huge audience list. I know this because this is my field. They have a huge email list. They have a huge audience database. So maybe the likes of Spotify has like 1 million people in its email list. So maybe they tell someone like Burner, but hey, we'll go ahead and distribute you, and we'll send a mass email to our 1 million+ email subscribers. So anytime you release an album, we'll just have them flood your whole video. And it gives traction to that. Maybe that is one of the value that they give. Right? So distribution has changed from what it used to be right now. But nonetheless, most of us are streaming through, like this video right now. This live stream is streaming on YouTube. Okay? And that is housed in the United States. Most of the social media platforms that we use are housed by this country. So when you're signed with artists, with labels who already are built in this country, and they have a first right of refusal, and you're using their platforms to self-promote yourself as distribution, you can see how a lot of your monies go back to that country. Now, there's some things you just can't help. You can't help where you stream. YouTube is always going to be huge. You can't help that, but you can help by making sure you mitigate how much of your money leaves your country. Because right now, Afrobeat, a lot of the money is leaving the country. It's not staying in the country. Which is why I'm excited about Nollywood. Because unlike half Afrobeat, Nollywood stays in the country. You know what I'm saying? Like the new Nollywood City, which has the groundbreaking, which has been invested in, would attract international presence into the country. And so this would then generate revenue for the country, because most films that are filmed, most times when there's a film production going on, whether it's in Hollywood, whether it's in whatever, they usually take about 6 months to 8 months to film those things. And so now Nollywood is going to Nigeria is going to enjoy a lot of those films. Like, for example, when the Black Panther came out, a lot of those movie scenes that were shot in Black Panther, Nigeria has the opportunity to have that shot in its country now, in this new studio, which will pull in international presence. And when they're there, guess what they're doing? They're staying in your hotels, right? They're buying your food. They're putting on your merchandise. They're spending the money there within that 6 months to a year that movie is being shot, how long they need to shoot that movie for. Maybe it's a couple of months, maybe it's 2 weeks, whatever. The money stays in your country, which is very different from an on-the-road enterprise like Afrobeat. And I think this is something that every Nigerian needs to be excited about. Because I think Nollywood will do more for the Nigerian society, which is why I think kudos to the governor. Because that's a foresight thinking. That is the type of thinking that we need to start adopting. That is the foresight thinking that is overdue. Kudos to because he knows this. And we just need to see this type of thing replicated all over the country. because that would change your trajectory. Because understand that this Nollywood City, this Studio City, is the only one in Africa. So rather than go and shoot in Ghana, right? Because I think that the Black Panther, some of the scenes were shot in Ghana. They're going to shoot it in Nigeria. Nothing wrong with Ghana, but there's a studio now in Nigeria once this is completed. They're going to shoot that over there. A lot of the artists, a lot of the Hollywood actors, whatever movies they come up with, whether it's Avengers in the future and there's a scene about Africa, they're going to shoot that over there. This is huge. Understand this is huge. And here's another big thing about this. Movie studios have a long-lasting career than music. So Nollywood is going to enjoy a far greater career than Afrobeat. Afrobeat will last for like 50, 100 years probably, maybe 70, 80. Nollywood will be here forever. Because when you look at the path and the trend of a lot of movie careers, even here in the United States, you look at, even artists that are either hip-hop artists or pop artists, you'll find a lot of these ones now they're all literally leaving or transferring into movies. Because that's where the career is. That's where the money is at. I mean, when you're a rapper, for God's sakes, most rappers only earn 20 cents on the dollar. Most rappers earn like 20 cents on the dollar. They get raped because once record labels take away marketing costs, distribution costs, wardrobe, production, and all of that, whatever you left is like 20 cents. You're only making 20 cents on the dollar. So most times they have to really, you make money in volumes, which is why a lot of the artists, you get to see them coming up with one album after the other album and after the other album, and they always want to hit a platinum because the volume is where you least as an artist, you make some kind of money, right? Because the bulk of your revenue goes to the label that you're signed to, which is how that works. And so most artists burn out. They after 10 years into it, they know they don't have any money. So a lot of them transition into movies. So you find that because movies is where the real money is. I mean, movies, you can be nobody for 10 years, but one movie or one TV sitcom show really changes your whole life. All of a sudden, everyone knows you're earning millions of dollars. Movies is the future. TV is the future. And we know that subscription paid services is obviously the future. And so even while the Afrobeat artists are enjoying a great deal of recognition today, it's inevitable that they're all going to fade off. No one's going to remember Burna Boy about 5-10 years from now. He's going to transition to something else. Davido is not going to be remembered either. There are going to be new artists that will take their place. But nonetheless, that they feel the life of an artist in terms of music artists is not a long-term career. I've said this before, it's a very short-term career. So movies is a long-term career here, which is why Nollywood is a big deal. And the revenue that you saw in terms of what it generated even in 2020, $1 billion, it's going to surpass that. It's going to surpass that because the type of production that will be held there via Hollywood and Nollywood itself, international film makers, that'll be huge. Now, of course, there's going to be the politics where because they understand, people that understand how money works, right? They'll understand that in order to build Africa's economy, they're going to try to mitigate the number of movies Hollywood takes to Nigeria to produce. You get that. But nonetheless, Nollywood has been standing on its own. It doesn't need the West to really. Nollywood is a self-sustaining, enterprise. Doesn't need Hollywood movies, right? The export of Nollywood film production already gave it the second place, the second largest movie industry in the world. It doesn't need Hollywood. Doesn't need it. But nonetheless, now Hollywood has a place to go with state of the art equipment. They can go and film a lot of the scenes that they would love to shoot, which is obviously a cost to them. They don't need to move all the stuff over there to film this. They can utilize the equipment and the resources there, which is obviously a good cost break, in terms of it helps to save costs to them, and they can do that. But it also gives your country a huge revenue stream. Huge. Now, that's why they don't want you to know this. You see, this is not in the media. Because a type of conversation like this that I'm having is one that does more than just, it inspires a great deal of confidence. Because imagine the jobs that would generate out of this. Forget the jobs within the industry, cinematography, script writers, directors, editors, producers. That's a huge part of it, okay? Forget that part for a second. Think about the other stuff outside of the film industry. Merchandising, fashion, tourism. The food industry is going to go crazy. There's a huge job market that this is going to create for the country. The country will need to really be strategic in making sure that it positions itself. So when people are flown in to do this, there's all these things in place to make sure that they're generating this revenue. But it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And not only that, it's also going to cause many of us from this country to move back home. Now, here's the fear that I have with Nollywood. Here's the fear that I have. Please hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button. Here's the fear that I have. Because of the attitude of what I've known about the West, and what I mean by the attitude in terms of the behavior historically regarding the people of the Western people, has always been to infiltrate and steal from primarily Africa and its resources. Which is why I think that a lot of the strategy to sign and love these Afrobeat artists is one of that, it's also one of that ploy to take away from Africa as best as they can. Because of course, these artists want to be signed, they think that signed to a white label will give them notoriety. That's the problem with us black folks. Is that we can shatter the roof with our talent, but somehow we're seeking validation from these white folks that until we sign to their label, we think that we haven't made it anywhere. That is a problem with black people all over the world. And so we give away the cheese and we give away things that we shouldn't be giving away just so because we want to get the approval. So my fear is that the same deal that I think most of them have gotten themselves in by signing to a lot of these labels, which is what you might start to see also with Nollywood, with all of these actors signed to agents that represent other actors in the United States. And the same thing will be done. They're going to do the same thing. Where they'll tell the likes of Genevieve, hey, because you signed to us, we have the first right of refusal. You can't, before you do a Nollywood movie in Nigeria, you need to check with us first. Do you get what I'm saying? So a person like Genevieve, who is known, that we all know, will have to check with Warner Brothers. Should I do this film? And they have to give the green light to her and say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Or no, don't do that. Because you're signed to us. You see what I'm saying here? That is the part that worries me here. And that will be another ploy like we've known the West to do, to siphon money out of that country by dipping its hand into the pockets of revenue generated of that country and keeping that country the way it is. And so we are at a very pivotal time in history where our talent is making way, making opportunity for us to build not only ourselves, but our country in ways that has never been done before. This is a great opportunity. And every person who is a creative, everyone who has talent has a responsibility. And that responsibility falls on me too, which is why I use my platform. Because I see the vast opportunity here for us as Nigerians. I see what we're doing. I see the future. It is our opportunity. It is our responsibility to use, to have this self-awareness. Even while we've all awoken in our spirit, there's been this awakening in us where we're trying to be the best and we're being the best, which is great. But we need to also have a self-awareness of the foxes and vultures out here and understand how we use this opportunity to build legacies for our kids and also the country of origin that you come from. Because you will never have a more recognition or validation from anyone else outside of the world than your own people. No one outside of your own people is going to validate you more than your own people. No one. No one. And I think it's something that we all need to really take the time to really begin doing, because if there's anything white folks have done with black people all over the world, is take away anything black folks started. They've done this. It's an old playbook. So a black person comes up with electricity, invents electricity. They take that and equate it to Thomas Edison. A black person comes up with a music talent or a way to generate electricity or power electricity. They take that. And one thing they've always offered us, here's something I want to talk about real quickly. And I want you to hear what I'm about to say, because I'm going to say with every passion in me, and I hope you get it. Black people are going to need to get to a place, and we need to get there today, where we're not thinking of self, but we're thinking of our community as a whole. This has been something that white folks have always known that they can use to strip us of anything that we come up with. Black people all over the world fall for this. Black people always fall for the shiny objects. And so we come up with something, they offer us an amount to buy us out. Most black folks take the deal. When white folks are thinking of what's called future value. Now, I'm going to talk about future and present value for a second. For some of you that went through grad school, you know, if you went through an MBA program, and you took economics, you learn PV and FE, future value and present value. As a matter of fact, you use that to calculate a lot of the compound or mortgage rates. So a lot of time when you want to calculate your mortgage rates on a house, you can always calculate the future value of it if you know the present value, if you know what the interest rate is, and if you know the time period in which that mortgage will be taken, you can always calculate your future value. And the reverse is the same. You can calculate the present value. If you know the future value and you know the interest rate, you can do that. What black folks have always fallen for, and white folks know this, is that black folks never think about the future value of anything. They always sell for the present value. And so when they're giving you a valuation today for your business, say for example, your business is started 5 years ago and has a valuation of like 200 million, right? They offer you 200 million. And you take it because that's, to you, you're working off of the present value. White folks, on the other hand, know that in the last 5 years, you were able to get this valuation of 200 million. What will happen in the next 5 years, 6 years, 10 years from now? So they're calculating things in terms of future value, not present value. And so many times we lose out and we sell our ideas. We sell because we're thinking of self. We're thinking about the money, present value. And then 10 years from now, your children are working in the same company that you didn't sold off. Because the valuation of that company now in the future is worth billions of dollars. So it makes your little money that they paid you drop in the bucket. Case in point. I'll give you an example about this. This platform, YouTube, right? The founders of YouTube were paid $1.6 billion by Google to buy this platform off. Present value. Google, understanding the future value of video streaming, understanding the value in terms of what we're doing right now. Because, you know, they've looked at this whole thing. And they know exactly where the future is going. They know YouTube right now is $100 billion company. $100 billion. Now ask yourself, the $1.6 billion they gave those two founders, what is that? Is that a drop in the bucket? Yeah, it is a drop in the bucket. That is how people who know about the value of money, that's how they think. And so when you have Afrobeat and Nollywood and you have this artist signed to a record label, they're giving away their future value to that record label, who then says, I own anything you have to do in the future. I get the first right of refusal for this. And I get to determine how much of a piece of that I get. And these artists, because they just want to be known, sign off a lot of their future value to a lot of the labels who know this. Which is why our artists always, they always get the bad deal. They always fall for the okie doke. And so I'm afraid that in Nollywood, because of what we know with the West, this is perhaps going to repeat itself. I'm sounding an alarm. That as a people, we're going to need to get to a place where we're not so quick to sell the cow. Okay? We're not quick to sell the cow. Sell the milk. Don't sell the cow. Because your cow is your producer. But we're selling the cow. And we're selling it for present value, not for even the future value. And we'll lose out for what that cow is going to generate other cows. It's going to mate with other cows and have 10 cows generating more milk than you ever would think about. You're thinking about it just one cow. And it can always get you with this. Because most of us don't read the fine prints of the contract. We don't read the fine prints. And we fall for the okie doke because we just want the instant gratification of today. And that's why they can guarantee that we'll keep us poor. But I think that there's a new sets of awakening, a new sets of Nigerians that are coming up who are utilizing their education and they're understanding the economics behind this whole thing. And they're going to start, which is why you have the guy, the Lagos State governor. You see what he's doing. That is the type of forward thinking that you never have seen in that country in a long time. That's the type of thinking you see here in the West. Where you put in that kind of money, knowing fully well the future value that you're going to get off of Nollywood. That is that type of forward thinking that we all need to start adopting. But more importantly than that, it's also ensuring that the vultures are here. Cultural vultures are here. Don't come in with their whiteness to be right and with your zeal and your lust for wanting to get approval from them. You sign deals that make you sell your soul, and your revenue and your monies are not seen in your country. This will be the type of thinking that we need to start talking about. Because that country has such a great opportunity right now. You will never see it again. There's no other black race. Let me help you with this. There's no other black group on the planet right now who owns a movie industry. None. There's no other black group on the planet right now who owns the music industry. None. You own these two things. How you manage it, how you maintain it, is going to be the art and the brilliance behind this. It's not just one. It's one thing to sell music. It's another thing to understand the enterprise behind the global success of your music. Yes, Nigerians have really mastered the business behind the music. Yes, which is God. But now you have to understand the global enterprise behind that. Because I would love to start to see someone like Burna Boy build schools in Nigeria because of the success of his Afrobeat music. I would like to see Davido build facilities in Nigeria because of the success of his music. I would like to see Wizkid put up infrastructure. This is how you're going to change your country. Because if all you're doing is flying private jets, all you're doing is filling out stadiums, all you're doing is you're only enriching countries outside of your country, and your own generation are not going to see the benefit of your future value. They're not. get what I'm saying? So we as Nigerians have to hold them to task. We have to hold them and begin demanding because we made them what they are. Nollywood, Hollywood didn't make these guys what they are. Atlantic Records didn't make them what they are. These guys only signed them because they were big. I mean, we're talking about the West, for God's sakes. When was the last time the West took a chance on Africans and say, oh, let me build you from nothing to something? No, they only come after when you have a finished product. When they see potential in there. That's how they work here. And then you give them the cow. Do you get what I'm saying? And we have a lot more people that are coming out of the continent that are still being produced in terms of the Afrobeat music genre, which are, I think, and I hope they learn, because, you know, the first batch of people from any new invention are going to make mistakes. You know, we saw it even in hip hop. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to do things that they shouldn't have done. And the other ones coming after are going to learn from them and say, hey, that's not what I'm going to do. I ain't going to do that. And they became to get more refined and use their head much more. Right? So I'm hoping that once this first batch of guys play their role and we'll celebrate them, that the other ones coming up are going to say, hold on, I'm going to do this differently. Because the most important thing in any point, this is why this country is great. This country thinks of itself. They're nationalists. The United States is nationalist. They think of themselves first before anyone else. They think about keeping the monies in their country, which is also why even this platform, YouTube, when you think about when YouTube pays, you know, like those of us that are content creators on YouTube that get paid, when you look at the CPM rates of those that are physically located in the United States, is higher than anyone in Africa. So those content creators in Africa, like for example, I have 8,000 subscribers. My videos generate about 4,000 on the average views. The monies my videos generate, someone in Africa will have to have 20,000 subscribers and generate twice as much of my views to match what I'm making on my videos. Because they're not interested in building Africa. They're not interested because they know that you're going to spend the money over there. Right? So when they pay you out in dollars, they know that money goes over there. So what they look like paying you the exact same rate they pay U.S. citizens or people who look at you, there's usually be flourishing over there. They're not, so they do that on purpose. Because they think in terms of nationalism. Because a U.S.-based company, they're not going to build Africa. If you want to build Africa, start your own YouTube channel or your own YouTube platform, and you can do that. But if you work for a U.S. company, you're not going to have the type of deal that gives 60 to 80% of your resources to you so you can go build your country. You got to start thinking like that. You know, here in the United States, one of the key things that also destroys the black community here is that money. It is said that money within the black community here in the United States only moves around less than 1 minute before it's transferred away. It's like few seconds before it's exchanged or exported out of the black community. And when you compare that to the Asian community, money moves around 17 times. When you look at the white community, money moves around a lot more before it leaves their community. So when it comes to black people, we don't have the money circulating in our country. We tend to have the money circulating in a Western, in a white country. And you are the talent. You get what I'm saying? Which is why I'm so in love with Nollywood. I think that Nollywood is going to be a game changer for Nigeria. As much as I love Afrobeat, Nollywood is a game changer for that country because that facility will be located in that country, which will cause everyone to come over there. Right? And I think that Afrobeat missed the mark. They're really missing the mark in terms of really utilizing the opportunity they have right now to build their country. And another case in point, real quickly, in terms of Afrobeat, is the festival, the Afro Nation. See, that's the one. I'm not a fan of Afro Nation. I really am not. Afro Nation to me is a disappointment. Because Afro Nation was started by 2 Nigerians. Why are they on the road? Why? Why are they taking a concert on the road? Because that's a key example of what I'm talking about right there. Afro Nation does concert everywhere, but its own country of origin, which is Nigeria. Now they're thinking about going to Nigeria for the next one, but they've been in Portugal several times. They've been in Ghana several times. That's what I'm talking about here. You draw the largest Afrobeat crowd when the opportunity would have been really built if you hubbed your whole concert in your country of origin and have people come in. There's a huge power in that. Because when you pull that crowd in, just like people go all the way, they travel all the way to Portugal for Afro Nation. They travel all the way to Ghana. They go to all these places. They're spending money. So to not have Afro Nation hubbed in Nigeria and have people come in, that to me, I don't get it. And I'm an MBA student. Trust me, there's not too many things that I'm sharp. I'm as sharp as they come. The economic reason behind that to me doesn't make any sense. Now I know they talk about the security, really. Really? No. That's not, and maybe they didn't get enough tax break. But they could have worked with the government, with the Nigerian government. And I'm sure Nigerian government would be obliged to really have them either get tax break or get some kind of incentive to keep that in there. But nonetheless, the type of money the type of money that's leaving the country, it is so astronomical that you're losing a huge opportunity. I mentioned in one of my videos and I talked about how Nollywood and Afrobeat would pull the West to Nigeria. And I talked about the way that would happen. That through Afrobeat, and you guys go see the video. It's on my channel. And I'm just gonna reiterate. Through Afrobeat and the concert in Nigeria, it will pull international presence to Nigeria, who will then look at Nigeria and see that Nigeria is also much more than just music. They would see that Nigeria is also a tech country. A lot of its citizens are highly educated and have a footprint in technology, which would then help the international market begin to harness the talent pool in Nigeria, sort of what we saw in India back during the Bush administration. See, the Bush administration exported and offshored a lot of the jobs to India because of the low-cost talent they had back then, which then helped a lot of the Indian citizens to tap into technology, which is why India today is known to be a tech hub. And you have the likes of the CEO of India, of Google, is an Indian. People will invest in India in any infrastructure or technology that an Indian citizen comes up with, because they were able to change the perception. Now, all that happened because of the jobs that was taken from the United States to India under the Bush administration back in the days. That's how they got that. Now, for you're not so lucky, because no U.S. administration is offshoring jobs, because back then they did it under the nose of American citizens, and there was a lot of gripe. We're talking about early 2000, all the way to right before the 9/11 attack happened. This is when that whole thing was going on, so they benefited from that. Now, I use Afrobeat to sort of contrast the same similar situation that will happen from Nigeria, because most people other than the Nigerians here in the United States that people know as engineers, doctors, people know about what they know in this country. They don't know about the rest of that's happening on the continent. They don't know this. They know about the ones here. They know that, yes, Nigerians here are doctors and the engineers and the business owners. They know they are stellar people in the country. They know this. But then they don't know about them in Nigeria. And you have the exact same replica of these same people represented over there in the country. They don't know this. Now, how would they know this? They will know this through Afrobeats. The concerts that are done there will pull all of these people to their favorite artists. So the Afro Nation, which I told you I'm not a fan of its being on the road. So, for example, if Afro Nation was hubbed in Nigeria, people will go over there. Then they will find out, oh my God, these guys over here are into tech. These guys are experts in coding. These guys know the language. And so let's find out how we can then do the same thing we did in India by offering a lot of those, offshoring a lot of those jobs that we can't fill in the United States to Nigerians. Right? And then you become they do the exact same thing with what they did with India with you. You now own those jobs, which they can't fill in the United States because, believe it or not, a lot of the problems here in the United States, they can't find skilled labor in the areas of software development, technology. They can't find people here. So they're losing a lot of money. They're looking for a new market. And I thought about how Nigeria is the next market for them because obviously it's a high value skilled labor market that the US market and the West will be able to take advantage of. It's called positioning. And if you don't have a foresight to see this, you'll miss the opportunity in this, which is why I think Afrobeat is really missing the opportunity in terms of how to harness the global enterprise of that music genre. And I'm hoping Nollywood will be able to will pick the slack up and do what Afrobeat is lacking, which is pull people into that country when they start producing movies over there. And then hopefully they'll be able to see that the country has a lot more to offer than just movies, and they begin to really harness this. That's how you pull in, that's how you build your country up. And I for one, would like to see that country take advantage of this opportunity that it has to really represent itself in a maximum way. And I think we could do that. The window hasn't closed yet. The window hasn't closed. And this is the fear of the West. This really is the fear of the West. Is that while there's been an awakening in a lot of us, in terms of our talent and our skills, and we're not waiting for the government to do anything for us, we're just doing for ourselves now. That is a huge awakening. That they know they can't stop that anymore. It's the cows that left the barn. They can't stop it. The next thing they hope that we don't get is this self-awareness and become nationalists like they are. They're hoping that we don't get this. That a lot of us continue to leave the country and continue to come to the West and build their society for them. They're hoping that remains the case. But I'm here to say that no, we need to change that. There's nothing wrong with the West. We built their countries enough for them. We need to start building your own country. You need to start building your own country with the talent pool that you have over there. I think Nigerians can do this. And that is the fear. I'll tell you, that is the fear. Right? Which is why stories like this will never be covered. And it's our job for us to cover things like this so we can tell our young men and women that are coming up, if you want to come to the West, that's fine. But your emphasis needs to be on you gaining the skills that you need from the West and then translating into how you can build your own country up. Not just for you, but for those that come after you. So take away the self thing coming out. That's how China did it. You know, back in the 70s, China changed the policy that changed the whole country. That basically says if you go to China, to the United States, and you're a Chinese citizen, you come home. They incentivize them to come home and bring all what they've learned back to China, which is what most of them did. So the Chinese government back in the 70s, 1960s, 70s, incentivized the citizens to come home and bring all they've learned. That's how they were able to build that country up the way it is. We can do the same thing. We can do the same thing. And I think that we're just very slow in responding to this. But the Afrobeat, the Nollywood movie, new Studio City is going to force a lot of us to start seeing things in that direction. Right? To start seeing things in that direction. Hit the like button, guys. Come on, leader. We got people watching this, and let's get this. Let's get this going here. Hit the like button. Let's get him up. Get him up.
It's not my fault. You've been lying, saying that I took away your peace.
Let's get him up.
Drowning by yourself, now you wanna blame me. Like you have no options. I ain't take your options. Now I'm not the problem. Man, that's on you, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Get him up.
Terrorizing me, yeah, I'm always wrong. I knew you lost your mind when you dropped that bomb. Girl, are you crazy? Yeah, you must be crazy.
Yeah, get him up. Get him up.
I've been thinking lately it's you. You stole your peace, put it on me, but baby, it's you.
All right, get him up. Get him up. Get him up.
Lie like a ride, but take your stuff back, baby, it's you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. Please make sure you hit the like button. But so to be able to, let me go ahead and wrap this up real quickly, because I think that I don't want the message to be lost here. And the message here what I'm saying here is that we as Nigerians, we as Black people, need to understand the incredible amount of opportunity that we have in front of us right now. Whether you're an artist, whether you are a streamer, whether you are whatever creative that you are in, there's a vast opportunity that's been endowed to you right now. You've been chosen by the universe. You, Nigerians, have been chosen by the universe. Think about it for a second. You are the cornerstone that the builder rejected. You are that person that was discounted. The whole world talked trash about you and say, hey, these ones are, and labeled you a whole bunch of nonsense. That was not true. And then in spite of all of that, the universe found you to be the one to endow with such amount of opportunity and gifts, such as music, education, intelligence. There's no other opportunity that will ever happen for any like you have right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a great opportunity for everyone that's in Nigeria. And not to mention your population, your size is one that is feared by many people. You are 200 and almost 225 million people. You are larger than Ghana, the blacks in South Africa put together. Not to mention the 44 million that are represented in this country also. Your presence is a striking force that most people fear, which is why you get demonized. Because what people try to do is, if they can get you to not believe in yourself, which is a strategy that's been used against Black people for years. You know, I often talk about the divide and conquer that white folks used against the slaves. And the strategy that a lot of them have since used after that is the negative propaganda. So the more I tell you that this person is bad, the more people will perceive that. And perception is reality. Perception is often reality for a lot of things. So Nigerians being painted and such, where most people that have come across Nigerians don't even find Nigerians to be any close to that. But the perception they painted you is one that most of you have bought into. There's an opportunity for you to change that, and you're doing it. But we need to really take it and maximize it. Really, it's on us. The onus is on us to do it. And that part is also going to come with you not selling your country or selling your people down the river. Right? That part is also going to come with that. Not selling your people down the river just for a buck. Which is why also I've been mad at the likes of who was that music producer, movie producer with that documentary, the Aya Shania. You know, which is why a person like him disappoints me, because with all his law degree, the type of decision that he makes to sell his people down the river for an opportunity with Netflix or for a buck, that to me goes to a character. And that is not the character we're looking for. We're looking for people that would stand once an opportunity is given to them. They represent the people in the fullest of light. In the fullest of light. Because it's our job to change our brand image. Because here's what gives your money value. Here's what gives you value. Is the perception that your money is worth something. Is what gives it value. For example, the US dollar. US dollar isn't backed by nothing. It's not backed by gold. It's a fiat currency. But what gives it value is you and I. That's what gives it value to the US currency. The US dollar. It's not backed by anything. The money is basically worthless on itself, but we give it value because when you take that money out of your pocket and you say this dollar amount of money can give me XYZ, the value we give it is what gives it the world recognition value. That's why it's a fiat currency. It's not backed by anything. But the brand behind it, the muscle, the perception, the country behind it, and what we perceive that country to be is what gives it the value all over the world. So your job and my job, it will be to move our value up. Because if you move your value up, you earn more dollars, you earn more currency, because when people perceive that you are a Nigerian and you come with XYZ, and they have that perception about you, they're going to pay you much more than what you're worth in many cases because of a perceived value. You get what I'm saying? So your perceived value will not happen if you're selling your people down the river. If you're taking the present value, you're not thinking about the future value of what that brand would be. You dilute your value. Do you get what I'm saying? If money isn't circulating in your country and is leaving your country, you also dilute your currency. You dilute your currency, the power of your currency. And so that's what I want to leave you with, is that we need to start thinking about the way money moves and how we also outsmart those that have outsmarted us for years when it comes to economics. Talk about money. Keep the money in your country. Have it circulate at least more than 30 minutes before it leaves your community. You can buy stuff in the West if you want, it's all good, but it has to stay in your community at least 30 to 50 minutes before it leaves your community. Because once you do that, you can then begin to really see the value of your talent and your money and build your economy. That'll be the biggest test for us. And I think that will be the biggest accomplishment. Once we accomplish that, we would have changed the game forever. And that is the one thing they don't want us to get. That is the one thing they don't want us to get. So I hope we get this. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I am truly appreciative that you guys are here. Thank you all for those of you that watched the stream. I truly appreciate that. Please make sure you share the stream. Share it to as many people as you can. Like the video. Like it. Subscribe to the channel. And again, thank you all, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
It's not